Hello, Billy Hussey here with Southern Folk Pottery Collectors Society. I just want to welcome you with us today for just a few moments to go through our sale number 54 biannual auction that we cataloged, and just want to look over the pieces that we have and just talk about them for just a moment or two to get you looking into other collectors who have collected for years and years and years, decades even, who have enriched their lives and made their homes just a little richer. And I think it's kind of noble to see these collectors and some of their pieces that we have the privilege of offering in this particular sale. So here we've got some Georgia Browns from the 1920s. We've got Lanier Meadows, a Mossy Creek. We've got his mother, Ari, another piece of Lanier. We're moving up to South Carolina with some Atkins from about 1900. A real rare Chief Hilton face picture from Kentucky when he went there for a short period of time. A German Bellarmine from the 16th century. We got some salt glaze Piedmont from about 1850s. Those are some art pottery, which you're going to see quite a few pieces of. A few pieces of mine here. Some 18th century Moravian, North Carolina. Rare Western North Carolina Jacob Weaver decorated piece. A J.C. Cox piece, a mourning or a funerary urn, some more red ware from Alamance County, a grouping of salt glaze, and we even moved into New York with the large water cooler from the Albany area from the early 1800s. And sometimes we dabble across the Mason-Dixon a little bit just to show some of the other aspects of pottery that was made with some of the kindred spirit that is happening in the South, that happened in the North as well, and sometimes in the Midwest even. And speaking of art pottery, we're going to come over here to some of the pieces and some of the transitional ware of J.H. Owens, coming from salt glaze into some of the lead glazes of J.B. Cole. More J.B. Cole down here, some Jugtown, some Cravens, more Jugtown down here, and A.R. Cole, just to see what they were trying to come out of the utilitarian wear of the late 1800s, early 1900s into trying to, again, dress up their homes in a depressing time of the year when World War I was going on and the Great Depression. So glazes, color glazes was really the thing of the time, of the period. Over here we've got some Alabama pieces, some Sign, McPherson, Beasley. Crawford County, Georgia, and I always admire Crawford County with their glaze. They have some of the most striking alkaline glazes down there, and that dates from the late 1800s as well. Some more Georgia pieces, another piece of New York, some local pieces of salt glaze, and some more art pottery from the era of the early 1900s into the teens and the 20s. Jugtown, Charlie Allman, Jonah Owens, just a vast area there. Then we're going to come over here a little bit and look at some more pieces. And we got here just a masterpiece by W.N. Craven, who worked here for a short period of time and left this area in the late 1800s, about 1860s, and moved into, actually wound up in Missouri making pottery, marked it there. With his own W.H. Craven mark, which was larger. An abstract glaze from Charles Maston, just a genius with glazes that came out of Bloomington, Indiana. A Tennessee water cooler here that is real unusual with salamanders on it from about the 1930s out of Eli Lefever's shop. A piece of George Orr back over here, some of his twisted up contorted pottery, which is just phenomenal stuff to acquire, and he called them his mud babies, so he thought a lot of his work, and rightfully so, because he was a genius at potting. And here we've got a piece that, some more South Carolina pieces, about 1810, Washington County, Georgia. That's a later piece, probably about 1850, 1860 of the Owensby School. Piece of 1990s Catawba Indian, Earl Robbins, who just passed away a few years ago, who made large, very large pieces. You see that's a monumental piece there for the Catawba Indians, because they usually made smaller pieces. And this is a piece that's phenomenal with glass melts that you see on it, where they actually laid glass and it melted from the temperature of the kiln. And this is by our most wanted potter. This is a potter we've marveled at. He's quite bizarre with his mentality of potting. He didn't take much time with trying to smooth the pots down. He was just providing a living, and he was a good potter, but that's a masterpiece of his with glass. Really the only piece we know of with glass melts. Then we of course dabble out a little bit with some guns. This is about an 1850 Jamestown, North Carolina Wright, Henry Wright decorated rifle, pistol, some powder horns, and a Confederate seaman's knife. We always have a few books to always help people along for studying. Some more art pottery from different eras. A few pieces of mine there in the middle. Charlie Allman, J.B. Cole, Charlie Cole, J.B. Cole, C.C. Cole, and the Coles were just a phenomenal with art pottery. And they also worked in the late 1800s with utilitarian ware as well. So they made the transition and operated really right on up into the almost the 90s, which is a phenomenal for a shop to be operating that long. You could almost say just about 100 years of production. A line of mine again, some Brown's face jugs from the 50s and the 90s. Buncombe County, and this is quite a little piece from the Browns. This is a 1990s piece by Charlie Brown, but this is a drunkard's jug, and I always laugh at it. No matter how drunk you get, you can always find the handle to grab a hold of on the jug. Some unusual Reinhardt Brothers decorated pieces, which we never saw before. Right here we've got another piece of Berlin Craig, who operated, of course, in the Catawba Valley from the really about the 1930s up until the early 2000s when he passed away. But that's a phenomenal piece of Berlin's, about a 5-gallon face jug of glass melts. Piece of mine again. Then here we go to, again, the art pottery era of one of the master potters of the area on a large piece of graceful, elegant shaping by Wayman Cole, again from the J.B. Cole shop. And there's some other things over here that's interesting. And again, the J.B. Cole shop was just marvelous with their colors, lead glazes. Hilton's on the right here, and they were a transitional pottery from utilitarian out of Catawba Valley into the art pottery era. Some pieces of Berlin Craig, a few more pieces of Hilton, a little bit of Pennsylvania. And this is an interesting piece right here. That this is early, what we believe is Berks County, but it's got the green, the copper oxide green over the slip. If you look at the designs, it's not like this is Lester Brenniger from the 1970s and 80s, but where they usually have just typical lines, this one almost looks like a fish design. This is a real interesting drape mold piece. Ballards, Sebastian from Wilkes County, North Carolina. This is an early piece of Pennsylvania. A little slipwire decorated piece. Some South Carolina pieces here. An unusual, undecorated, and that is rare, piece of from the Collin Road shop, slave made. That's a slave made piece there from about 1810. Welchels from the late 1800s. Johnson's. This is an unusual mark. This is on the second mark that we've ever seen from Hants in upstate South Carolina. A little folk art. And right here's a cute little piece. This is a little line carved out of one piece of wood, an African cat. Eberle's from Virginia. Another piece of Strasbourg there. But let me show you this right here. This is kind of cute right here. Piece of folk art. This guy, now this is a lot of time here this guy put into it, but it's like a merry-go-round. And it's kind of cute that he put all that work into that thing. It works. That's probably 1900 or 1900. Piece of African carving. Piece of Howard Finster from the 1980s. One of his cutouts, which is a really good piece. He's all dressed up for his son to go to meeting. Let's go right back over here and we'll finish up with some pieces from Catawba Valley from the mid-1800s of Daniel Siegel, his son James Franklin, a rare Joe Johnson jug that signed J.J. John Goodman, who was his brother-in-law, married Daniel's sister. Again, the JCM, which is really Daniel Siegel making for a friend of his, and of course Matthew Helton from Catawba Valley, probably late 1800s. So, and an unusual JWC, who we think may be JW Carpenter, who later worked I'm lost. Wilkes County. Sorry about that. Anyway, we think, because this is an unusual mark, and sometimes you find marks that you can't identify for a while. It takes a long time to put together the big puzzle. But anyway, I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, look us up on the web. Give us a call at 336-581-4246. And again, thank you.